All right, that was fast Friday, normal Friday practice, which was pretty good. But we're ready to roll. I'll just open it up and take questions.
Coach, how annoying has it been that as you're amidst this cornerback two battle, you're having the guys out at different times? What does that mean if you're not able to name one?
Yeah, so more frustrating than annoying, but because it's really part of it. I made this point in a unit meeting the other day that, but I don't believe we couldn't have, because Jay Reed hasn't had any practice snaps, right? So I don't believe we've had the, let's call it our top 11, 12, or 13, whatever that is, right? I don't think we've had them on the field for one play. That's concerning, frustrating. Now, I did say to him, those things are out of our control. I can't control guys getting hurt, and what we can control is our conditioning and being ready to play and all that. But with regards to your question about the corners, it's making it really difficult to decide which way to go. You know, we got one more game. You know, some of these guys will play that are still fighting for jobs, but we can't say that there's a starting other corner right now, in all honesty.
Steve, I know y'all love to develop guys in the system.
Yeah.
And you have guys that are development, are coming on, but again, those injuries. Is there any thought to trying to bring a vet in at some point?
Well, I think, I mean, if you would talk to Coach Reed or Brett, I think they'd tell you they're always looking. And they got their eyes on him, and typically Brett will come to me and say, hey, can you look at this guy and that guy? So I'm sure that'll happen in these next couple of days. Yeah.
Does it also make it difficult at the bottom of the depth chart as well? Not just the number 2, but the number 5?
Yeah, deciding on how many to keep, and yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of reps. I was looking at the rep count of what those guys have been getting, and it's been against a pretty good offense because, you know, Patrick's out there every day. But yet, the game thing, you'd like to get a little bit more game experience to see what happens. You know, the other thing, too, we got to be careful of, Andy and I were talking about this morning. Some of the guys are going, like, for example, the Detroit did not play any of their starters last week. So it's like, okay, there were some good plays made. Would they have been, you know, you guys know where I'm going. So we're kind of playing that whole thing. It's hard to figure out. I'm not sure what Chicago will do in this game, but we got to go based off of what we see in our gut feeling, and these guys just got to show the best they got. We'll see what happens.
What have you seen from Keith Taylor?
Yeah, he's made a lot of plays. Mike Frazier tracks production. We just track production on the linebackers and the DBs, and it's things like pass breakups and interceptions, forced fumbles, recoveries, and Keith's been right there production-wise. I think he's had a really good camp. He's right in the mix in the battle. He's got good size. And so he'll get out there and play in this game, and we'll see where it is at the end.
You seen more from him than you did, say, camp last year?
Yeah, now I can't remember, did we have Keith last year, or did he come in? I can't remember, Adam, to be honest with you. I know he was here for the OTAs, maybe came toward the end or whatever, but he's a big, long, I think, yeah, because he's Washington. Didn't he come in? I remember talking to Trent about him. Came in at some point. And he was here all year with us on the practice squad, but it was hard to tell. But I think you know, I agree. I think his skill set is showing up.
Steve, Josh said early in camp that you like to say growth comes while you're being uncomfortable.
Josh Williams?
Yeah. Did he quote you accurately?
See how it. No, actually, growth comes with change, and sometimes change is uncomfortable. But he was close. Yeah, he was close. Yeah.
You had the idea down.
Yeah. I think he got the gist of the point I was trying to make.
Is that something you adhered to for a long time?
Yeah, like I think when I put it up, you know, sometimes we gotta change, right? And that's happening all the time in this league. And with change comes growth. I don't think there's any growth without changing, and that's what I was trying to convey to him. So some things that maybe we changed in the scheme, some things that they need to change in the way they do things to get better or to grow.
Did you look at it that way during that year off?
Yeah, pretty good point. I don't know what I changed. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, I think when you're willing to change, I think that's when you're able to grow, in my opinion. Yeah.
In your last two here. Go ahead.
In your safety room, I mean, you have established roles for Cook and Reed and Connor, but Hicks looks like a player that's going to be tough to keep off the field. How do you kind of reconcile almost that good problem potentially?
I think that's a good point. That's what I would say. It's a good problem to have 4 guys. I mean, you know, every once in a while we might have 4 safeties on the field at the same time, but not too often, and the down and distance kind of dictates that. But I'm really, really happy and excited about what maybe Jaden can do for us. And we know the other 3 guys are reliable. Now we just haven't had Justin Reed out there in so long. The chemistry thing, I remember, like, as we sat in here last year, I remember us talking about, you know, when we kind of got it rolling, we were playing pretty good. A lot of it had to do with the chemistry of the guys. That doesn't just all of a sudden happen after this much time off. And so the concern is, you know, Brian Cook wasn't here for a week, and Justin's been for a while, and Nick. You know, those are the chemistry guys. We'll have to do it in practice in the next 2 weeks or whatever to get ready for Baltimore.
Last three, we're gonna go Todd, PJ, and then Matt.
You mentioned, you know, maybe not having all these guys healthy during this. Do you have enough data to make all the choices you want to make at this point?
Yeah, we don't have much choice. And we'll have to go with a little bit of past performance, you know, and guys with experience, all those other things. But, you know, at some points you gotta go what you got. I mean, the heads get you know, Brett will get to Andy, myself, the coaches, and try to come up with the best 25 or whatever that number is, yeah.
PJ?
Along the same lines of cornerback, I mean, D-line is kind of having guys shuffling in and
Yeah.
out too, and Felix and Vigo taking a lot of reps. Is there any concern there about the depth on the D-line?
I mean, there always is, right? Because you're an ankle sprain away from, you know, not having enough guys. Those guys have gotten a lot of work. You know, the one guy that hasn't gotten the work is Chris, right? Because he's been dealing with the shoulder injury. But there's a pretty good battle both inside and outside, I would say, at the D-line, at those, you know, spots we're talking about, right? There's some obvious ones that are already kind of sealed, but we'll see how it plays out in this game.
Coach, the last group we haven't talked about, linebackers. You kept 6 to start last season. Is that kind of, could that still be consideration when you got, you know, Jacobs, I think, Moses?
Yeah, you know, I don't think, we've never put a number on, you know, it's definitely going to be this, or it's definitely going to be that. It's going to be let's say the number's 25 that we get on defense. It's going to be the top 25 players. I mean, I've been at places before where you've had 11 D linemen, and you were light at linebacker, or maybe light one safety or corner. But I don't think you want to let a good player go to waiver wires just because you thought you had to get too many at one position. So we'll see how the numbers end up.
All right. Matt, wanna go ahead?
Sure.
Oh.
For those of you who do not know, every year the Pro Football Writers of America present the Paul Zimmerman Dr. Z Award
Yeah.
to a Lifetime Achievement Award for an assistant coach. And there have been 25 of these named by the PFWA, Steve, and 5 of them have been Chiefs coaches. So you were in a pretty
That's
good
good, I
company
guess.
here.
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
Emmett Thomas is on that
Yeah.
list, Romeo Crennel,
Mm.
Howard Mudd, Gunther Cunningham, and you're the only one that has won it while you were with the Chiefs. So, you were in a distinct,
So I get to get this, right? You guys get to do
so
it.
you're in
yeah.
a distinct company
Yeah.
here. Very proud to present you
Yeah,
on behalf
thank you
of the
so
Pro
much.
Football Writers of America with the
That's
Paul
awesome.
Dr. Z Award.
I
Absolutely.
totally unexpected. When I remember I got the letter, and I said, well, this is good, I'll have a letter. I had to maybe frame it or something, but I don't have to do that now. So. Listen, just 2 things. One, I thank the people in here. This doesn't happen unless somebody locally, you know, says something. So thank you for that. And then I think I mentioned this before up at training camp. You don't get an individual award in a team sport unless you're around other good people. I'm not going to go through a whole list, but I will say this. If not for Andy Reid, there's no way this happens. A, he brought me into the league, you know, and B, he brought me here to Kansas City. So I will say thank you to Andy, and I appreciate you guys too for just make sure I don't drop it and break it. But now I can tell, I had the thought of framing the letter. Now I don't have to do that. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.